Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Dr. Glenn Vo, and I am super excited to have this guest today. Now, we all heard about AI, right? All in our lives and all the new things are coming out. But what about dental AI? Well, I have someone, the CEO of a company they're going to be the forefront of dental AI. It is Ophir Tanz, CEO of Pearl. Ophir, what's up, man? How's it going?
It's great. Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Man, so I'm so excited to get you on here. And of course, I have some mutual friends that work for the company. There's someone who's a co-founder that I respect a lot, a dentist. And that's the thing I want to lead with, right? You're not just some guy that just isn't from the tech world that says, hey, I'm just going to jump in dental. You have some connections in dentistry. The co-founder, a lot of people are in the dental field as part of the company. But, before I go any further, when we talk about dental AI, we hear a lot of things. I don't think a lot of people really understand what dental AI is. Yeah. So Ophir, can you please enlighten us? What is that exactly? Because we hear about a bunch of people says, we have AI, and is it really AI or is it kind of like it? So let's talk about that. Let's start off with that.
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, there are many forms of AI, to be fair. There's sort of, pattern recognition and text-oriented stuff. What we do specifically at Pearl is we focus on a subfield of AI called computer vision. This is where you teach computers to really see and interpret the world in much the same way that humans do. The thing that we're kind of best known for is our ability to be able to look at dental radiography of various types and identify disease, identify existing restorations, natural anatomy, and really do so at levels that are extremely accurate and consistent.
And I want to bring this up because we're probably going to get a bunch of people that are coming on there saying, well, I'll tell you what, no computer is going to do it better than a human, right? Like people are going to say those things. And my rebuttal to them is, hey, do you use Grammarly or do you use anything to check your spelling? I mean, yeah. I'm sure you can write okay, and I'm sure your spelling is great, but it's just whenever I use Grammarly, when I'm sending an email off, it's catching a couple of things that oh my gosh, I didn't think about there. Would you say that's kind of a fair comparison? Obviously, this is a little bit more in depth, but just being able to make us better dentists so that we don't miss things that maybe sometimes we do. We're human.
Yeah. So I think that's actually an excellent analog. And the reason is that, just to clear up some misconceptions, is that, our software is called Second Opinion. It's intended to point out areas of interest where, disease might exist, for example, and point that out to the doctor. It's called Second Opinion very intentionally, not First Opinion, just like Grammarly, meaning that we're not looking to take any autonomy away from practitioners ever. But we do know, if you look at any research going back, 30 years up until today, that there are instances where there's lack of concurrence, where there's lack of consistency. It's really easy to miss things like interproximal caries. It's really easy to miss calculus. Yeah. It's really easy to miss early bone loss. It's really easy to miss periapical lesions. We see dentists of all levels sort of missing these things on a day-to-day basis. And you can't really blame the dentist. Dentists have a massive burden on them. They're running businesses, they're issuing treatment, they're sort of running these practices, they're reading radiographs, they're doing all these things over the course of a day. So really the way to think about Pearl is that we're unburdening the practitioner, enabling them to perform dentists at an elevated standard of care, but not removing any autonomy from that practitioner.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Now, Ophir, we're gonna switch gears a little bit, and you're gonna notice on the Nifty Thrifty podcast, we like to shift gears a lot because things naturally come up, and I'm like, oh, let me ask him this question here. So we're gonna shift gears here, and let's talk about you. First of all, how did you get into dentistry? Tell us about your background and what made you interested to kind of come into the field of teeth and calculus and gums and all those things.
For me, it's a little bit full circle. My father was a dentist.
Oh.
So I grew up very much in a dental office environment. I used to watch my dad kind of perform all types of treatments on whoever would let me sort of watch those procedures. I thought it was super fascinating. I ended up not going into dentistry. I went into engineering and computer science, and I've been a serial entrepreneur really ever since graduating from college, and have started a number of companies. The common thread throughout all my companies actually has been AI.
Yeah.
So I've been focused specifically on AI and computer vision for at least 17 years, arguably longer. And I also sort of had a lot of exposure to that in college. So really my career has been one of applying this technology to different categories in ways that can generate better real world outcomes. And my previous company grew to well over $1 billion in value. And we were a computer vision oriented company. And I saw the opportunity to continue to apply this technology more widely across other categories. We launched some other divisions. And one of those divisions was a healthcare oriented effort. And that goes all the way back to 2015, wow, where we decided on dental. In large part, I decided on dental for a variety of reasons, not only because of my previous exposure for it, but because I also feel that dentistry is best suited to sort of take in this technology and apply it at scale in ways that are really going to have an impact quickly. And eventually what occurred was, a few years went on, we sort of did a bunch of research. We eventually got really excited about the opportunity, decided to spin it out into its own company. I went to my board of directors and I said, I'm really passionate about this. I want to have an impact on humanity that is larger than what our current company does, which is more so in the media space. And stepped down as a CEO of that company, which I started and ran for 11 and a half years, and came over in May of 2019 to run Pearl. So that's sort of the funny inception of the company.
So Ophir, I want to ask you a question here, maybe a little personal here. How does your family feel about you kind of like inadvertently getting back into the family business?
Yeah. They think it's hilarious. It really is like a very...
I can only imagine, because you went into engineering, and I'm sure like, at the dinner table every once in a while, like, hey, is this something you would do? And you decided to go in a different direction, but somehow you just kind of like took the long road, and you're about to get into, you're getting back into, but you're actually going to significantly change how dentistry has done. So, I mean, I'm just curious, like, how does your family feel? Like, do they have a good laugh about it? I mean, because it's kind of ironic.
Because as you know, Glenn, like dentists come in clusters always. There's always like my brother and my grandfather. It's just like, it comes. And my dad asked me at one point, he's like, you think you want to be a dentist? And I was like, I don't know. I think I want to go into technology, because I was always very passionate about that. Yeah. But funnily enough, even for me, I got kind of sucked back into the industry in this very roundabout way. So yeah, everyone kind of has a good chuckle about it. It's really unexpected, even for me. But I will say that I do love the category. I love what we're doing. This is my favorite company that I've ever run. And it is nice to be able to sort of have this kind of real impact on patients that is sort of felt on a day-to-day basis. It's a good feeling to be able to sort of improve the practitioner experience, help these practices run better, and really just help level up an entire category, which is what our goal is.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I want to ask you for your opinion right now. Now, this is just your opinion, okay? But I want to hear it for someone who's been in the tech industry for so long, who has a family tie to dentistry, right? Do you feel this is the wave of the future?
No question.
Yeah.
The reason is, if you look at the history of dentistry, and really even the history of medicine, but we'll just focus on dentistry, right? Every few decades, you have a technological innovation, and it dramatically affects the category. Paperless. I mean, digital X-rays. Digital dentistry, exactly.
Digital dentistry.
High-speed drills, implants, the discovery of fluoride, the freaking toothbrush. Like, these are technological innovations that rewrite the sort of narrative for the entire category. And it really happens once or twice in a lifetime if you're lucky, but typically once in a lifetime, in a working lifetime. And if you look at it from that perspective, the last arguably major development was probably digital dentistry.
Yeah.
And the current one is AI. We're in the very early stages of a paradigm shift in dentistry, which is that we're going to be able to elevate the standard of care by virtue of this technology in very fundamental ways. And what's different about AI, I think, is that you're able to sort of attack this problem at the base level, which is, we're going to help generate more comprehensive and accurate diagnoses. But there's so many applications beyond that, whether it's for payers or practices or dental labs or specialty, that you could continue to add value with this technology in really a wide variety of ways for a long time. And it is going to fundamentally, again, like be that paradigm shifting event.
I love that. I love obviously we talk about digital dentistry, the high speed, but I do love the fact that, yeah, you pointed those things out. And again, a lot of dentistry, we're notorious for not accepting things as fast as other industries. But when it does get accepted,
Oh
it
yeah.
just spreads like wildfire, right? Like now, I remember when I was getting out of school and your dad was, in the middle of practicing. I mean, he was probably using regular x-rays, right? And I remember going there and going to the x-ray machine and just filling in. I was like, oh, God, this is a bummer and whatnot. And now it's just totally unheard of.
I remember being in the dark room with my dad, like developing these things with all the cockroaches and the red light and all, like, yeah.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. So, let me ask you this. So again, for me, what gets me really excited about what Pearl does is the fact that, I have a number of associates in my practice. I have a senior associate who's been practicing as long as I have. And I just hired a junior associate who's literally fresh out of school. And what makes it really exciting is that you have kind of like this second opinion, but this is not a second opinion that has like a lot of emotions or any biases. It just shows you what is there, right? And so that makes me really excited because I think that's always a concern with a experienced doc and a doc that's not as experienced. They're thinking, well, is this guy like just over treating, or is this guy, like not doing things by the book? And then when we look at the junior doc, we're like, dude, you're like way too conservative. Hey, you're missing all those things. That is actually what is exciting for me. Is that something that you've had conversations with like bigger group practices or big practices with multiple doctors? Is that something that you've kind of like driven home? Like, hey, this is going to help streamline everyone's, treatment plans and diagnosis.
Exactly right. So we primarily service individual locations and DSOs, right? We're a provider-oriented company. And the common refrain that you hear is, hey, we're getting, we're a large group, we're hiring as many dentists as we can, we're hiring lots of folks. A bunch of them are fairly fresh out of college. They're not super experienced.
Yeah.
And if you speak to any dean of any dental school, and I've spoken to them all, they all say the same thing, which is we know we are not sending our graduates into the field proficient enough at diagnosing caries, for example. That's just the case. It's something you learn on the job over time. So the problem with that is that if you're a junior practitioner and you think you see something, but you're not sure, it sort of affects your judgment and your ability to then service that patient because you're not trusting what you're seeing. If you have a second set of eyes that is corroborating that, you're going to sort of perform better dentistry. And it's also going to make you better over time because you're getting some feedback and you're able to work collaboratively with the system to sort of actually have this feedback loop in place, which is sort of making you better over time. Similarly, with very experienced practitioners, again, these things are easy to miss. We've seen from the data that they are missed. When we step into a practice, we will surface a minimum of $1 million in historically undiagnosed opportunity, at a minimum, every single practice we walk into, and typically a lot more. So what does that tell you? That just tells you that, A, maybe not everything's getting noted in the PMS, but B, there's just a lot of stuff getting missed. There's an epidemic in dentistry, not of overtreatment at all. Overtreatment exists when there's like outright fraud, okay? It's a very small subset of what happens. The epidemic in dentistry is of underdiagnosis and undertreatment. And this technology is able to just surface these opportunities very consistently across every single patient. You're able to walk into the operatory, knowing what you're going to talk about, knowing what you're going to recommend as a treatment, right? Reduce share time, enhance the standard of care, and everyone kind of wins in that scenario.
You almost, well, actually, you just put this idea in my head as we were just talking there. I mean, I would say that someone who is thinking about getting Pearl in their practice, I mean, we could almost I'm not going to make you make a bold claim right now, but I think that we could easily say that if you adopt Pearl, there's a good chance that it's going to actually uncover a lot of treatment that possibly is missed and potential revenue in the practice.
Well, I'll take it even a step further, which is to say, not only will we stand behind that claim, but I mean, we've seen it in every single situation now. But if you think about it, this is the most powerful ROI tool in all of dentistry, not only from a sort of financial perspective, but also from a treatment and outcomes perspective. And the tool costs I don't know, $7,000 a year retail and less at scale even, right? We are driving outcomes. We just did a case study. It's on our website. I can send it to you. You can put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
We are showing $11,000 in incremental revenue generation per week in this 10 office case study. That's $3,000 in restorative, $6,000 in specialty, $2,000 turning unscheduled to scheduled. So if you think about it, over the first 2-3 weeks of use, you've paid for the entire year of the tool.
I was about to say, it sounds in the black. That's what it sounds
like. This is the worst deal in the world for Pearl, right? Like this is the best deal ever for practices, because it's just, you're so quickly in the black. And there's so many other benefits in terms of servicing every stakeholder in the practice, whether that's front office, hygienists, practitioners, and management, right?
Well, and going back to pretty much the reason why this is near and dear to your heart is that, I mean, imagine how many people we're actually going to help by catching some of these things that, again, you know, I'm sure everyone who's listening or watching this right now, I'm sure you've had a case where you missed something and it kind of gotten worse. And
that's the thing. And if you didn't note it, you might have missed it the next time, and then it got even worse. I mean,
yeah. I mean, imagine being able to prevent your patient from having that needless, you know, issue or suffering or pain or anything like that. But also, let's look at it from a legal standpoint. Man, it's be nice to kind of someone to watch your back like that. Exactly, because again, if someone, you know, you see something and they're like, well, what happened last time? And you missed it. Well, what happens there, right? So,
yeah, and we're never advocating aggressive treatment. We just want to surface that these things exist. You might not even want to bring up a particular detected pathology to a patient at every moment in time, but you do want to note it. You do want to be aware of it. You do want to watch it. That's what being a responsible dentist is about.
Yeah.
I personally like the philosophy of like very low touch dentistry personally, right? So we're not advocating for like really aggressive treatment, but we are advocating for totally comprehensive diagnosis.
Exactly.
And then treatment planning around that, right?
I love it. I think every dentist who's watching this right now, is listening right now, they 100% can get behind that. Now, Ophir, we're going to switch gears again. I'm going to have to ask you a really tough question. So are you ready for this? You just got your water. Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. There's other companies out there that do AI too, right? I mean, there's so many companies that even I am confused about, like, is that truly AI or whatnot? We're not going to mention any names, but I'm going to ask you, what makes Pearl different from everyone else?
Yeah, I think it's an easy question to answer. And I think there's first of all, a number of ways to answer it. So there are things like our software is better, it's more advanced, it serves more stakeholders, but all these are kind of soft claims.
Sure.
And you can kind of take it or leave it because every company.
Now there's some facts, right? Like there's certain things that you guys have, so you can't argue the facts. So let's
hear the facts. Okay. So the facts are that if you think about the utility here, it's the ability to comprehensively diagnose radiography. In order to be able to do that, you need to be able to identify a wide range of disease and other conditions in a dental radiograph. We agree on that, right?
Yes.
Pearl is the only company in the world with comprehensive regulatory approval to detect disease comprehensively. And I mean both FDA clearance and clearance across 90 countries.
Does that mean
worldwide.
FDA clearance?
Yes, FDA clearance. And what's funny about this, there's a lot of hand waving and a lot of nonsense that is being sort of touted about in the industry. And people are saying they can do things they absolutely are not lawfully able to do. The beauty of this sort of claim, as you put it, though, is that anybody can go to the FDA.gov website, look up Pearl's clearances and look up any other company's clearances. The closest competitor to Pearl from a disease detection perspective only has the ability to identify caries in patients ages 22 years and above. That's it. And that is a relatively
no kids.
What's that? No kids.
No kids then.
But also no periapical lesions, no margin discrepancies, no calculus, nothing else, right? So that is the whole story right there. There is no other solution other than Pearl if you're being honest about it, because you're not going to go through the trouble and the expense of integrating all this stuff into your practice, which is some work, right? If the only thing you can get out of it in return is caries detection for adults.
Yeah. I mean, what about the pedo patient? What about the pediatric dentist? They can't use it.
Exactly. So this is sort of the confusion in the market that we're also hoping to dispel, because it is so objectively the case and so independently verifiable that it's not like Pearl, some corporate company making some claim. Like the facts are out there, they're in plain sight. And
anyone can look this up. Anyone can go to the FDA site and look it up.
And we've posted on our LinkedIn comparison guides of us and competitors, and people can look that up as well and find us on LinkedIn and that material. And we have some more material coming out about this, just because like the FDA exists to safeguard patients from detection technologies that have not been rigorously clinically tested, because that could put patients in danger. So we've gone through the very hard multi-year, multi-million-dollar, 4,000-page clinical study to do this comprehensively and for a wide range of sort of age groups. And that is the key differentiator, and really is the only differentiator that matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I love the fact that you just laid it out there. It's about the facts, right? You could say all these great things that Pearls does, but again, this is on the FDA website. And what's the point of having something like this if you can't use it for every single patient? If you can't serve your own patient population?
Not worth it in that context.
Yeah.
Unless people are providing you with capabilities that are not FDA cleared, in which case that's not lawful.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. So with that being said, let me ask you this, because Pearls always, you guys are always on the forefront of getting new features and whatnot. What is something that we can expect in the future from Pearl? Like, what are some of the things that are on the roadmap that you can kind of disclose, or what are some of the things that you guys are really hoping to roll out soon? Is there anything you can share with us right now?
Yeah, I mean, there's so much. So we're working on a range of 3D capabilities. So we already support 3D intraoral scans, but also CBCT is being worked on.
Wow.
We have a whole slew of more advanced panoramic detections now coming out and getting approved as well. A slew of capabilities around generating clean claims, things around sort of compliance, RCM, like kind of the nuts and bolts of just running a good practice. We want to really see if we can sort of help fundamentally create tool sets that are driving efficiencies and just driving better outcomes and reducing the overhead on the staff within a dental practice. We're, launching in many countries worldwide as well. We have a variety of capabilities coming out, specifically to service the ortho category. I mean, I can go on for an hour. There's a multi-year.
But I think it's safe to say that what we see right now, that's just the beginning.
Yeah. So the way that we look at it is like step number one needs to be to elevate the standard of care in a way that is really easy and really affordable globally, right? And what that means is you're getting second opinion into every dental practice in the world so that you can generate more comprehensive and accurate diagnoses. That's a step one. Beyond that, there's lots of nuanced applications that are more bespoke and specific to, particular types of dentistry that can continue to add all types of value.
I love it. Okay. So Ophir, for those who are watching and listening as well, they're probably thinking like, okay, how do I get this in my practice? Like, what are the first steps? What's the first steps there? How do we get this in the platform and all the dentists that are in our community? How does that work? What are the first steps there?
Yeah, well, it's really simple. So first of all, we have two products. We have Second Opinion, which is real-time patient-facing pathology detection, existing restoration, and natural anatomy. Very, very straightforward stuff. The other tool that we have is called Practice Intelligence. And that's where we're actually integrating not only with your imaging system, but also the PMS.
Oh, wow.
And we're able to develop really significant insights about what your patient population looks like. We're color coding your calendar, sort of telling you or sort of helping you plan for each day, perhaps in a morning huddle environment, walking to that operatory really prepared, a series of front office oriented tools around recall. There's really a lot to that tool. So any practice is sort of free to use either of these tools or both. I would recommend that people go to hellopearl.com and sort of learn more about those tool sets there and just reach out to us, schedule a demo, and somebody from our team will walk you through it in detail.
All right. Pretty straightforward there. But again, I love the claim that, hey, you get this integrated with your practice, there's a high chance that you're going to get your ROI back within like a month or so. And again, that's amazing. I don't think there's anything else out there that could make a claim like that. But if you really think about it, and especially if you have multiple doctors like my practice, like I'm very interested for myself because I have like 4 other dentists that work in my practice. Well, everyone's human there. There's probably opportunity there. And
I mean, the calls that we get every day, and this happens on people like dentists are posting about us on Instagram, and they also are saying similar things, which is, I would have missed this periorbital lesion today. I would have missed 2 of these caries today. I did 2 of these fillings that I otherwise would have not been able to deliver to the patient. I mean, this is a daily occurrence, and it's really exciting to see. It's like, you know.
So Ophir, first of all, thank you so much for jumping on. I'm so excited.
I also know that we have, I think, added value for your audience set, right?
We do. We're gonna post that later. I'm gonna guys, I let everyone know I'm gonna needle him for a great Nifty deal and stuff like that. But Ophir, before we log off here, what's a thought or something you want to share with our listeners, with our viewers when it comes to Pearl and what you hope to accomplish with this company and with our industry?
Yeah, I mean, what I hope to accomplish with this company is very straightforward, although I think it's a big impact, meaning we want to be able to elevate the standard of care for billions of patients worldwide. And we want to do our part in making dentistry better. And I'm sure at some point, a few decades down the line, there'll be some other amazing technology that comes out that makes it even better after that. And that's how we continue to evolve and improve as an industry and as a species. So, we want to play our role in helping level things up at this moment in time.
Amazing. Well, Ophir, thank you so much for jumping on. Guys, thanks for listening and be on the lookout for that Nifty deal with Pearl. Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see y'all later.
Thank you.